look at that architecture. Look at that building. It's like magic, right? Ugh, look at that. So you guys, I was in DC. I got to visit the National Museum of African American History. I want you guys to be able to see the recap. So if you're interested in this, just keep watching. Listen. Hey pros, so I'm back home from my trip to Washington, D.C., and I wanted to give you guys a recap of my experience at the National Museum of African American History. I could be saying the name wrong, but what I can say is it is a large museum. I love the architecture of it. I love the exterior. It's just so pretty to me. It stands out in DC. You cannot help but wonder what it is, and I'm just really thankful that we could at least get a little piece of DC, just a small piece. I did have to get a ticket. Even though it was free, I had to get a ticket to go in, I guess because it's so popular. When I got my ticket, I went downstairs based on a recommendation of you guys. And when I went downstairs, I decided to start with the tour of the Roads of Freedom. That tour made the entire museum for me. So I can say that the lines were a little bit crazy to get into the actual Roads of Freedom. I stood in line for maybe 20 to 25 minutes. I'd say closer to about 30 minutes I stood in line. There was the cafe for you to get food, and that line was in several L shapes, and I was not doing that. So I just kind of let that go, even though I was super hungry. I just said, you know what? I'm not going to deal with the cafe because the lines were like this. So imagine the line waiting to get the food. So I was like, no. So when I finally did get into the exhibit for the Road to Freedom, it started out at a good pace. It's basically at your own pace. There was a lot to see. There was a lot of information. I'm a very selective listener and reader. So I didn't stop for everything, right? I really just stopped for things that made a difference in my life, things that I wanted to see or things that I was interested in, which that's just how it is, you guys. You don't have to be on this, oh, I must see everything. No, look at the things that you're interested in, things that stand out to you, things that you really want to talk or know about. And that's exactly what I did. So I will say that there was a lot of artifacts. There was a lot of video. It was very interactive to be an African American History Museum. And I understand that a lot of things could not be preserved, or a lot of things we didn't really keep as real like artifacts, you know. I mean, it is what it is. But I can say that they did an amazing job just giving you information. So I would say that the Road to Freedom, or the March to Freedom, I could be saying it wrong, was one of the most emotional exhibits or places that I've been to in a very long time. And I am not going to say that I'm a super emotional person, but by the time I got done, I literally was just in awe. The two things that stood out to me the most, number one, the Emmett Till exhibit. I watched the movie. It still was just gut-wrenching. It was one of those things where you couldn't take any videos or pictures while inside the exhibit, but there was a piece of the exhibit outside of where you could take the pictures and video, where you couldn't take pictures and videos, which I was able to film, and I did put it as a part of this video. So you guys are really going to get to see some of the exhibits that I saw, and you'll get to see all. You can pause and read, and you can do all of that good stuff on your own, which is the reason why I put it towards the inside of my video versus at the beginning. Another thing that stood out to me was the rail car. There is an actual rail car in the middle of the entire exhibit. And the exhibit, when I say exhibit, it's 2 floors of a ton of stuff, right? And the rail car, I want you guys to pay attention to the size of the stateroom or the restroom or whatever they called it for the whites only. versus the colors only. And when I saw it, I was just like, the things that we have gone through in life, it just makes you understand sometimes why we react to things the way we react, why we feel the way we feel. And even though we still are in a time of inequality, it doesn't matter where we are. We're still in a time of unequalness, inequality, as I said, racism, hatred, misunderstanding, because a lot of people just don't even understand. It was just seeing it, like how it really happened in times where I wasn't even alive yet. But the things that I know that people experienced for us to be at the place that we are now, it was really just something that just made me more understanding to why things happen the way they happen and why we are the way we are. Anyhow, there was a very interactive area where it was like a diner, and I did put that in there so you guys could see that as well, where it was really neat, very interactive, touch screen, all that good stuff. So that definitely was the highlight of my visit to the museum. Outside of that, I did visit the other 2 floors above. I did visit the part about the food, and I also visited the part that just kind of just showed us coming to present time. And the exhibit that I went to, it started with a lot of like Black power, a lot of Afrocentric, a lot of all of that stuff, and it ended with Barack Obama. And by the time I got to him, I just looked at history and I said, wow, this is awesome. This was really awesome. Like, it's definitely a museum that I would say take your children to, for them to really understand where they come from and what we've endured through this time of life till now. It is definitely something that I would take my children to, because they need to see and they need to understand life and appreciate life that they have right now. Because had this been us 75, 80, 90, 100 years ago, I wouldn't even be able to be sitting here talking to you guys. I'd still be out there wondering what's tomorrow going to be like? What's my next hour going to be like? Right? I did get to visit the gift shop. I actually got one of the postcards, and it shows you the museum itself. I thought it's a brilliant postcard. So you guys see the museum, and then that's the actual architecture up close of the museum. So I am not sending this to anyone. I just thought that this was a great representation of the actual museum that I'm going to have as a keepsake. I got some trinkets for the kids. I got a Congo hat. I also got Michelle Obama's book, which is her newest book. I bought that. And it was just a good experience. It really was. After I finished the African American History Museum, I ended up going to the Smithsonian, and that museum has nothing compared to the African American History Museum. I'm sorry. Nothing at all. It was of no comparison to me. But they both are great museums on their own. So I'll say that. Anyway, you guys, I'm going to let you guys see all of the different things that I saw. And you guys are welcome to stop, look, stop, play, which I really want you guys to do for those of you who are not in DC, and maybe you've never gone to DC or you've never gotten the chance to go to this museum. And I didn't put a lot of the exhibits. I just really put the things that hit home for me that made a lot of sense to me. So you guys take your time, watch the rest of the video. Don't forget to actually thumbs up this video, you guys, and share this video with those people that you know who might be visiting DC, or maybe they just have never had a chance and they need to really know a little bit, just a little bit about African American history. So you guys keep watching, and thanks again for watching my video. Wow, guys, I have to say, this was probably one of the most emotional experiences that I've had in a very long time. Just emotional.